Go where your best prayers take you, unclench the fists of your spirit and take it easy. Breathe deeply of the glad air and live one day at a time. Know that you are precious and learn to trust. Amen. Please be seated. Okay, I have some news from you. Some of you are going to jump up and down and scream and yell because you've been waiting for a long time. The rest of you will be excited as well, I'm sure. I have a new job. It's not in Knoxville, but it's in Philadelphia. And my good news is I can commute. I'm not leaving. You know that the Pope is coming? Do you know that the Pope is coming? Do y'all know that? Okay, I'm just wondering if I'm here alone. I'm just checking. Just checking. Check. All right. And he's going to be in Philadelphia and other places, and they're doing cool things in Philadelphia. Church services, big gatherings, political stuff, all kind of people, dignitaries. They're doing special foods, and guess what? The microbreweries, did you hear this, are doing Pope beer. No joke. They're all getting together, and they're going to brew Pope beer. And they have put out a call for a priest to come bless the water. Catch that? Yeah. Tom and Chris and I are all going to go do it. So you have to have holy water to make holy beer. Okay, you get it. You're with me. All right. That's actually true. They're going to make Pope beer. I'm not even kidding about that. I love it. I love that job. I can't wait to see if I get it. All right, that's one job. And we're thinking about Labor Day, aren't we? It's Labor Day weekend. And you're lucky. Because if you hang with me, this will be the shortest sermon you've heard all year. Not kidding. Because you're in church and everybody else is not in church, you're going to get out early. I'm not joking. So let me tell you the best job. I think it was the best job, but it was the hardest job I've witnessed in a very long time. I was at Cleveland Clinic visiting one of our parishioners who'd had kind of the biggest heart surgery I'd ever seen or heard about. And then our parishioner was into the ICU, and the ICU at Cleveland Clinic is fascinating. It's just massive. It's like an L. And I was standing at the edge of the L, and you could look that way as far as you could see, and that way as far as you could see. And there were just bed after bed after bed, just went to the ends of the building. And tons of nurses and doctors and people, and everybody's moving at once. Looked like Atlanta Airport. It's the most powerful thing I've ever witnessed. And these people were extremely ill. The most high risk of all surgeries, heart transplants on down. And our parishioner was in a special cubicle, special place, because her life-threatening situation was literally a little at a time and had been for hours. And so she was in this room, and I walked in and stood over in the corner, and I've never seen so much equipment. It's still amazing to me in my mind, the amount of technology that was in that room. It's just everywhere. And it was packed. And above her were like 18 to 20 medicine bags off of IVAC machines running all at once. It's the most incredible thing I've ever witnessed. And there was one nurse. And I looked at that nurse and thought, how is he going to do this? Well, I stood quietly, which was my job to stay out of the way, and I stood quietly for a long time and watched this young man working. And for a long time, he didn't even recognize me there. And he was at it. I mean, the intensity, I can't even describe to you and raise the intensity as it felt in the room, in that space. And man, he was on it. And it was nonstop. He was moving every second the entire time I watched him, 15, 20, I don't know how long went by. And finally, he kind of glanced over and gave me the eye and kind of went on working. Well, he was getting in his rhythm after a bit. And then he started he said, are you doing okay today? I said, I'm great. I said, I didn't want to disturb you. He said, I'm fine. I can work and talk. And so here was the routine. He'd do a medicine, check the vitals, check the machines, do this, do that. And every minute, literally, he had this sheet that rolled out and would go around this church. He was writing down her blood pressure and vitals every minute. He was on duty for 10 hours. I guess I let him go to the bathroom. But literally, I said, how do you do this? He didn't say anything. I said, how did you get to doing this? And as he worked, he said, well, I was a salesman, I did this. And he said, I finally wanted something that was important to do with my life. He said, so I went to nursing school, got hired at Cleveland Clinic, and then I found this world, the intensive care world. And he said, I love it. And they trained me up. And I said, you're the best of the best. He didn't say anything. He's the best of the best. And I said, so tell me something. How do you stand this intensity? How can you do this? And that's when he stopped, he looked over me, and he smiled. And you see, his smile was his answer, wasn't it? He loved it. He was alive. It was fabulous to watch him go. It was amazing to me. You see, he knew he was making a difference. He knew everything he was doing was making a difference. It was demanding. It called everything. I can't imagine the concentration it takes to do what he was having to do, knowing that the patient was literally alive or dead any minute. And he knew it too. And yet he was thriving on it. And you could tell he loved the challenge. You know, it's interesting to me as we think about labor today. I want you to hold him in your mind a minute. How we think and talk about labor so much in our society. You know, Labor Day grew out of a grassroots movement to really pay attention to the people doing all jobs, not just the ones who get on the front page of the paper and catch our attention. We got lots of that. But the people every day that make society work. And they're all around us, aren't they? You do those jobs, people around us do those jobs, and we often don't even pay any attention to how important they are. So today on Labor Day, one of the things we stopped to do that I think that the movement hoped we would all do as Americans is to give thanks for every job. Every job counts. Every job is important. And if you don't have that perspective, come and see me. I'll help you with it. We need to have a better idea in this culture. And we better get one soon. We're not doing well that way. It's like we've got important people and not important people. Do you remember what happened in New York City when they didn't pick up the trash a few years ago? Don't forget it. We need every job. Every job is worth something. And people are worth something in their jobs. Okay, that's job one. But think also how we think of labor. Ladies, labor. Do I need to say more? Labor pain. Yes, it's something, it's great, but it's hard. Laborious. Think how we use the language. Okay, try Webster's. You don't believe me? I'm serious. Look, pull up your phone, look at Webster's. Right now, if you're bored, I don't care. Do it anyway. All right, toil, travail, drudgery, grind. Those are the 4 synonyms for labor. That's not what the young man was showing us. He was showing us extremely hard work, demanding work that brought and derived something deep in him. Meaning, importance, vitality, purpose. Something that gave him energy. Something that brought passion to the surface. That made him alive. And boy, it was obvious he was alive. You see, today Jesus says, and I want you to hear what he says so much in one parenthetical statement. This morning we could have talked about it an hour and a half in the Bible study downstairs. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. The harvest is plentiful. The harvest is plentiful. Do you see what Jesus is calling labor? We have another name for it. And the choir is going to help me because they're going to show you. Okay, show them what it is. It's the big E. I'm not kidding. And what is that E? Michelle, what is the E? Evangelism. I know, clergy are the only ones who say it. That's why I called on a priest. It's not a dirty word. It's not a Baptist word. It's not. I'm not kidding. Do you see what he calls labor? We would think of as evangelism. But notice something important, and really stay with me. You're going to get a 1 minute why this is different than maybe you've thought of it. So you with me? The harvest is plentiful. It's done. It's already growing. It's out there. You don't have to go make it grow. You just have to go out. The harvest is plentiful. And the Protestant church and Southern Protestants have been preaching something else for a long time. They missed it. The harvest is done. God is doing God's work in the world. God is out there on the job in people's lives. We don't go make God go to work. That's not what we're about. See, our task is something different. It's to go out, the metaphor says. Maybe that means to go out and witness, to go out and serve, both deed and word. That is what we are to do. So, public radio, the public station had a great show on a couple of weeks ago, and I was cruising through, and then I stopped and watched it. Didn't intend to. It was on bakeries, of all things. You know, I came from the bakery world, and I love bakeries. And these were these small little mom and pop bakeries all over the United States, and they focused on 3, and one was in Missoula, Montana, and just showed all this great stuff. I mean, you'd want to watch it because apple turnovers, and oh my gosh, showing how they made cookies, and it was fabulous. But then it showed something right in the middle of this that just snapped me to attention. There are these old guys who come down there at 6 a.m. or 5:30 when they start cranking up to do their bakery, and they just come down and drink coffee and sit and talk. And one day they all showed up, and this one old guy came in, and they're all talking, and they bring them coffee, and they're nice to them, but they're just kind of part of the background of this bakery operation. And then the guy said, "My wife died last night." And they all stopped. You could tell even the cameraman, I wanted to see the look on his or her face. You could feel the energy. It's like, "What did you say?" He said, "Yeah, I just got home from the hospital at 3. She had a heart attack and died. We were married 57 years. They rounded around him. They took him home. They took food to him. They helped him plan the burial. Then there was a little freeze frame that came back and showed a few days later, and there were the old coffee guys sitting there, and they said, "So what is it you like about this bakery?" He got tears in his eyes. He said, "You see, they love me here. They're like my family." The church means something. It is not a place to come to. It is not. This is not what we're doing here. We're a place where people know our stories and we can tell our stories. Tom Rasnick a couple of weeks ago said something very wonderful about this congregation. And I hope you felt included, because I did. A place that lets people be who they are. And I think we are trying to do that. We don't think of anyone as more important than the others. We think of all of us as essential parts of something to do God's kingdom's work. We're not being cute about it, righteous about it, but we're trying to be authentic about it. A place where you can belong. I thought, you know what, that's what a church is. It's like that bakery. It's family, a place where you're loved, a place where you can come to, where people do know your story. Maybe they'll help you carry your stuff, but that's predicated on whether you tell your story and let other people carry your stuff or not. But that's how it is. So I'm going to ask you to do something. And in fact, you're not going to have to do anything. I'm going to ask you this week to make a decision. That's all you're going to do. You're not going to do anything. You're going to make a decision to invite somebody to St. John's Cathedral. Invite them to a loving community that knows how to care for one another. Do we do it perfectly? No. Do we care for the world perfectly? No. But we try. Try to stay faithful. Try to stay authentic. Try to be fully disclosing about our practices and as inclusive as we can be. That's what we're about. And invite them to come taste what we have. And I pray what you find here and what's brought you here on a Sunday when ain't nobody else is here. Everybody else is out playing. But you're in church for some reason. So decide to invite somebody. Don't invite them. No. Just decide. Who would that person be? If you really think about it, if you just said simply, I want you to come to church with me or meet me at St. John's, who would that be? You see, all I'm asking you to do is to decide to invite someone. Because when we invite them, then we're reminded of Jesus' teaching today. God will do God's work. Have a great Labor Day. Amen.